Oh, yes, you're welcome back to today's powerful broadcast. In fact, every day it will become a shame and a disgrace to Nigeria as everything is now happening and the world is now confirming that IPOB is not a terrorist organization, according to the world, according to what is happening right now. So, according to the news, title says, finally, American confirmed that IPOB is the most peaceful agitation group in the world, controlled by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu leadership. So they have now confirmed that Mazi Kanu is not a terrorist and his group is the most peaceful organization, the most peaceful agitation group in the world right now. And this Biafran activist is going to explain to us a lot of things that is happening around the world and what American tag the IPOB right now and the group. You know, recently they changed some of their top leaders, some of the DOS top leaders, and all of them. They changed them, and then the people that were there before, they are not doing things according to, and then they are there just to campaign for themselves, and they just for them to siphon money and the rest of them. But the core thing they need to be doing, they are not doing it. They are there just to quarrel themselves and to bully themselves. But as it is, Mazi Kanu has now removed all of them from A to Z and replaced them with a new leadership. But at the end, everything is still working according to the way things are supposed to be. And if you can see in any organization, the issue of power, the issue of who will be the leaders and who will be controlling mostly the issue of money used to become a very big problem in every organization you are seeing. But as it is, IPOB is not that kind of group. And by now, since they kidnap or since they sentence Mazi Kanu, you would have been hearing a lot of fights and a lot of things happen, but they are not. That is the main reason why the American and the other international body, they are still looking them, and they are looking them as the most peaceful organization around the world. Just watch by yourself and you will see what is happening right now, because this our brother is going to hit on the nail, the hammer on the nail, so that you will understand things going on around the world. I was about to watch, like, subscribe and share for everyone to see things going on in Biafra.
With the current disagreement over IPOB's new Directorate of State, can the Biafra struggle remain united without Nnamdi Kanu's direct leadership?
Thank you so much. Ever united, ever the most unified agitation group in the world. If you doubt me, I will refer you to the Transparency International and Guinness Book of Records that actually awarded Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that incentive, the most peaceful agitation group in the world. Ever since the removal of Indonesian Directorate of Service, United States of Biafra, DOS, there is this kind of, rivalry going on within the Biafra, government in exile. And I would like to make it clear that a house divided cannot progress. When a house is well unified, united in one accord, that house could excel, progress, and succeed. But allegedly, we also often learned that a Dosium faction is not happy with the removal, his removal. And by the way, when a Dosium was removed, did Mazi Nnamdi Kanu tell anybody that a Dosium commits crime? Did Indonesian rebels come out and announce it to the world that Indonesia was, in one way or the other, found wanted? No. I think the people that are handling the issue of US, former Director General, I think they are not being matured enough. If I'm handling any public agency and it happens that I am removed, nobody accused me of anything. It depends on the manner I was removed. I don't think I should go further making noise it means I was lacking something or I made mistake elsewhere. It doesn't to go and relax. And the people that are following this kind of cracks and the fortunes within the Afghan government in exile and within Nigeria, I think they are all detractors. Yeah, useless distractors and detractors of our dear Biafra agitation. It is of no use advertising a good wine. A good wine, you know good wine by tests. When you test it, you will actually tell whether it is sour or a sweet wine. Prince the current DOS, Director General, has actually proven that it was the position, apportioned to him by Her Excellency in the faraway United States of America, Dr. Ngozi Oraboze. We don't need to be fighting ourselves. And we, the Biafrans in diaspora and in Nigeria, we will comport. We always comport ourselves with such disciplinary behaviors. We don't behave like cows or street miscreants. We are all well trained, from homes. Edozem is out. Edozem is out. Why is it that Biafra Medina, this is the name of the platform on the Facebook that has been massacring Nnamdi Kanu's personality and integrity. On daily basis right now, the man is posting, criticizing, cutting Nnamdi Kanu legs, accusing him of divorcing his wife, accusing him of running Indigenous People of Biafra as if it's his own household. Biafra Medina, if you are watching, I am Naraf Mbechi that often accuses you of irregularity and immaturity. I don't think you are handling the issue of Biafra with, all sensible, let me say, manner of approach. That is not how to take care. If there's any trouble in any institution like Indigenous People of Biafra and our dear United States of Biafra, you cannot keep on convincing people, telling people that Nnamdi Kanu is bad. Nnamdi Kanu is a thief. How? Where? How do you think you can just buy my mind? Somebody I've made up my mind long time ago, over a decade, to follow, love, and like. They are trying to assassinate his character, briefing me on how he maltreated his wife in Ethiopia. Biafra Medina author, because you are the author of that platform. Retract, refrain from doing that. The earlier the better. Do you think this particular sort of division will weaken the struggle of Biafra? Never. If abduction of Nnamdi Kanu from Nairobi has steadfastly affirmed reality of Biafra restoration, I don't think anything on earth could weaken Biafra emancipation. The more they try their best to bring Biafra down, the more Biafra gets strengthened on daily basis, marching forward. Nnamdi Kanu is another savior. We are marching forward. We are moving forward as Biafran soldiers, in spirit and in physical. Nobody could bring us down. As long as we live, Chukwu Okabieme has given us breath of life. Biafra restoration is more than a reality. Even the sky could not be our limits. in the name of Chuku Okike Abiyama Oyawai. See, let me tell you, the people that are working hard to bring the rate of Biafra emancipation, restoration, in within and without, outside Nigeria, I'm telling you, they are all working in vain. Tribalities, futilities. I don't know if you understand my English. They are all working within the enclavement of these two words. It can never work. Biafra has come. I can see it emanating, emancipating every second, every minute. Go to your social media handles and see what is going on globally. Biafra is now a global name, recognized in the United States of America. United Nations Department of Cartography is a department that takes care of map demarcation, map drawing, international boundary demarcation and division. United Nations Cartography Department. They have allowed, recognized Biafra map on the world geographical and the political map globe. So, how do you think we have failed? There is nothing like failure on our side. We are a unified house, one soul, one spirit. Nnamdi Kanu, no matter what they say about you, I would like them to say more. Tell me more. You Biafra detractors. Tell me more. You Biafra distractors. Tell me more. You Biafra what? Decapitators. People that are cutting our heads, amputating us, bringing us down on social media. Tell us more. Tell me more. Tell me more about Biafra. I will tell you more about Biafra success.
So finally, what would you tell Biafrans and Biafran faithful should do at this cross junction?
Biafra Kwan, Biafra Kwan, Igbo Kwan, Igbo worldwide Kwan. Oyala Kwanola, as that our brother always tells you here, she is wise on doing that. There are enemies all over us. Within Nigerian nation, we have various adversaries. Outside Nigeria, I mean Nigerian diaspora, they are near where Abike Dabire are working day and night to bring Igbo man down. To bring Igbo man down, to bring Obi down. That woman from Ikorodu is not relenting. Be on alert. Comport yourself. Behave well. Do the needful. And stay for Biafra and allow anything Nigeria to be outside. Be very, very resilient. Persevere. Tell the white people, Western world, there was a country, 1967 to 1970, there was a country. Tell them about the quick emancipation and restoration of the Prince of Africa, a country that is going to rejuvenate Pan-Africanism, PAN, that started from Mandela and the rest of the African nationalists in the past. Tell them.
Good morning. Thank you. Wherever you're watching us from, thank you for joining us. We want to just bring you to a notification of, one of the very daring questions a lot of people has been asking to know the viability of restoration of Biafra. It's all about Biafra. I'm talking about this morning. A lot of questions have been put out there, both locally and internationally. People are trying to find out, especially Biafrans, what actually can one actually do, to restore Biafra, recognize for the world to actually recognize Biafra. Is there any possibility, in that regard? Considering the fact that United Nations currently now is maybe possibly, showing lack of obligations to their responsibility, and also we have some major organizations like the United Nations and the EU. Is there any possibility that this organizations and blocs, especially the European Union, can actually, do something about Biafra. We know the history of Biafra before now, how it came to be, and how it became, a global identity for the people of old Eastern, region. Then we'll have Ojukwu there. Then later on we'll have Owazirike. Then we'll have the supreme leader of the IPOB, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who gave everything credibility and credence. I'm not trying to say that a lot of people, the other people did not contribute, but Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been very outstanding in the struggle to restore Biafra. I want you to just calm down and listen to the analysis, responding to a lot of questions that were being put to me to clarify, whether Biafra is possible or not. Let us look at the, United Nations, how United Nations came to be, and we also look at, the EU, countries, because EU is a bloc, a regional bloc, and they are seen to be very, powerful, organizations that can unsettle a lot of things, but United Nations came into being on 24th October 1945. Immediately after the Second World War, the U.S. government felt that they need to avoid another world war, and the only way to do that is to engage in nations around the world the issues that actually triggered that conflict as at that time. Yes, it came founded in October 2024, 24th October 1945, with a purpose. What is the purpose? International peace and stability, promotion of human rights, cooperation among nations, and of course international development of the global world. That's one of the reasons why United Nations was actually formed. And when it was formed, subsequently, it has about 51 countries solidly being part of that. And we have had so many United Nations Secretary Generals, but presently now it is in the hands of Antonio Guterres, a Swiss, citizen, Switzerland citizen. So also apart from 51 countries, who are part of that, then they have what they call, member states, making up to 193, member states, and then apart from that too, let us also look at EU. This analysis is very important for you to know and be able to understand the direction on the possibility of Biafra, because Biafra was a nation before and is still a nation, but Nigeria has not been able to respect the ceasefire agreement between Biafra and, of course, Nigeria immediately after the civil war came to an end. A lot of people might not say have a different opinion to this, but that is actually what happened. What Nigeria and Biafra had a ceasefire, and there were conditions for that ceasefire, which the Nigerian government actually relegated. Just like what we see about Gowon and the rest of them. So what they did is to begin to push for dismantling of the Biafran structure within the Nigerian state. Remember, we'll still come to that United Nations Charter guarantees the right for self-determination, and that is a right up to this moment. It's just that United Nations has not been able to fulfill some of those things. Then let us come to the EU. EU was founded in 1st November 1993. That was when EU was founded. EU was formerly European Economic Community, established in 1957 by a treaty in Rome. Currently now, the EU have 27 states, even though I will still believe that it is a regional bloc. Why there's a reason why Britain actually pulled out. Then let us look at the factors that can trigger international consideration of Biafra. Let us look at the factors that can trigger international consideration of Biafra. Biafra is already a popular name all over the world now. It was not what it used to be before, courtesy of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, resilient, spirit. We must give it to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, the IPOB leader. Then, on that note, there are reasons why those things can come, and on that note, especially when it comes to Nigeria, Biafra. Since that negotiation between Biafra has actually collapsed and Nigeria has actually collapsed, settlement has never been agreed upon, just like what Mazen Nnamdi Kanu said initially. There was conditions Mazen Nnamdi Kanu put out there before he now decided that those conditions that cannot actually hold waters again, and it's still very, very significant in the issue of extreme marginalization against the Biafrans in the old eastern region. I don't know why Nigerian government is jittery about that. Anyway, and then another factor is the issue of resettlement or of human rights abuse. You can see a lot of things, human rights abuse, about the Biafrans all over the world, currently in Nigeria. You can see what is actually going on. Then that is on that note. Can they respect? Can Biafrans, if actually they are being considered for sovereignty by these nations, then we are going to come to that. If the United Nations have the right to do that, whether EU have the right to do that, and if they don't have the right to do that, then what are the options? And to tell you that the possibility of that, having checked everything now, Nigeria, Biafra has already submitted their secular constitution to the United Nations, documented, reported, and signed, acknowledged by the United Nations agencies. Then they have also looked at the broken political negotiation between Biafra and Nigeria. That one is no go area. No, then the issue of human rights abuse. That's what Mazen Nnamdi Kanu brought to the table. Non-violent approach. That sees that. Then effective governance. That's the structure of IPOB. Currently now. I can see how they are able to run. Government come, government goes. And then the DOS is still there, and IPOB is still there. Then regional and international, impact on regional security. Then what that actually mean? Can Biafra as a nation be able to maintain regional peace? Biafra is located somewhere in West Africa, and we have West Africa is a bloc, and there are traces that the Biafrans can be able to maintain a relationship with their neighboring countries around the world. Then the qualification for EU and the United nations recognition. What are the qualifications? Can this EU, can this UN consider Biafra, or is Biafra actually qualified to become a nation? Let us look at those things that makes qualification of a nation or recognition of a nation, the way it is now, very possible. One is right to self-determination, population, that's United Nations. Biafra has the population close to 85 million people. Then respect for I've already explained that. Does they have the capacity? That's what the DOS is doing now. Trying to establish Biafra liaison offices and embassies, where they can engage in a diplomatic, rapport with nations and other agencies who are responsible for sovereignty or self-determination for any nation or any tribe, seeking sovereignty or in the order of United Nations. What about the territory? Permanent population. I've explained that is already there. Effective government. That's what IPOB and Biafra government in exile. A lot of people do not understand why Simon Ekpa is very important and also very smart. There's a parallel government, meaning that Biafran government is in existence. That's what they call Biafra Republic government in exile. People do not know the significance of that. So that's what the world is actually looking at, and you can see over some time now. The Ngozi Rabeza has been maintaining that line, and why Nnamdi Kanu, are maintaining the structure, a body, who is lobbying around the world to get Biafra recognized. Capacity to engage the international community, internationally. DOS is also, that's what the reason for DOS. All those appointments are part of it. Capacity to engage, yes, and I can tell you, this present DOS now, you can see the caliber of people Nnamdi Kanu brought to the fold. Then peaceful and democratic law. Yes, I told you that we have already submitted that. That has to do with regional stability, diplomatic ties, international support. Just like what Nnamdi Kanu did recently, where he wrote to about 72 countries, identifying them. There's a change in the structure of government of the DOS and the responsibility of DOS currently now. That's the reason why for that appointment. A lot of people will not understand what is actually going on. But I can tell you that this guy, Nnamdi Kanu, is completely in order, flowing the process of international requirement for that. Then another factor we are going to look at, like I just put it that way, what can we do after all this qualification? Yes, Biafra is qualified to be a nation. That is one, qualified in all ramifications. Territory, waters, everything, woman, police, army, whatever, government and other, that the reference point is Biafran government in exile, and the structures of IPOB and ODOS, they have already been identified, globally around the world. Then that have to do with, policy, unilateral drafting of Biafra. Then let me just tell you, some countries like the EU might not have that power to draft, to guarantee a draft for Biafra recognition. What that actually means is that EU member states can. I hope you understand what I'm saying now. The law empowers EU member states to recognize a nation, but not the power does not give it to EU as a bloc, but member states can recognize a nation. And that is exactly what Israel did with Somaliland. And by that recognition, it will trigger all United Nations and EU bodies, to factor the responsibility of recognizing such, authority, because it is a sovereign nation that actually recognize that particular nation seeking for self-determination. And that is why we are asking United States and Israel, to lead in that regard. But remember, the UN Charter in major human treaties, is self-determination. I think I've explained that United Nations in the one of the major world or treaties they entered was centered on human rights and, of course, self-determination.
You all have seen how things is happening and how the world is recognizing the issue and the stand of Biafra. The way Somaliland is being recognized by Israel and by the United Nations is this the same way the Biafran body they are pushing for the United Nations and for the other global power for them to recognize the Biafra. And we believe and we know that very soon they are going to do the needful. Then going down to the issue of Idoziem and the people that has been removed as an IPOB directorate of state. When people is not doing the right thing, the best way is to remove them. The best way is to remove them. You cannot be above the person who put you in office. You cannot be above the person who have a company. You cannot be above your father. So no matter whatever you are doing or you start criticizing somebody who build something you stand on, you don't know the suffer, you don't know the struggle, and you don't know what makes the person to be in the place he is, then you start criticizing him, talking evil against him, and they're doing a lot of things because of one thing or the other. If as a human being, the best thing he will do is to remove you, and you will now create your own group and start doing whatever you want to do, because you cannot be in somebody's house and keep cursing him, keep insulting him, and talking to him anything and anything you like in his own room, in his own house, in his own shelter. So that cannot happen. The best way, he will remove you. He will tell you to go and do whatever you want to do and build your own and tag your own, any name you want to target, and start from there. That is the best way. The world have already seen this IPOB and the Nnamdi Kanu as the most peaceful group around the world, and that is why you see Nigerian government, they have done everything possible so that they would put them in the terrorist index of the world, but they have not done it. Instead of it, it is the Fulani Hismen, it is the bandits, the IS and the Mighty Allah. Those people, those group, they are in the #1 terrorist organization index in the world. Go and see and go and find this Mighty Allah that is in Nigeria. They are the most peaceful group in Nigeria, according to them. But in the world, they are the #4 most terrorist organization, most dangerous terrorist organization in the world. The Mighty Allah group, which is the Fulani men that is marauding everywhere, buying people everywhere, and destroying life and property. But in Nigeria, they are the most peaceful group in Nigeria. Imagine. In fact, I would like your comment down below. What do you think about it happening in Nigeria? Like, subscribe, and share for everyone to see things going on in Biafra land. We say thank you for watching.